Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Of course, tonight is NXT No Mercy. On today's show, we're going to be giving our predictions for that, along with talking about last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. But joining me, firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are things, Clark?
What's going on, Ben? I'm stoked to be here. It's a huge weekend in professional wrestling. We got we got a pay-per-view and we got a premium live event, and I'm excited about both. Let's talk about everything. Let's talk about SmackDown. Let's talk about all of it. And we got two esteemed colleagues. We have what should have been that Tuesday show, I believe it was, that you mentioned.
Wednesday, yeah. No,
Wednesday, same thing.
This was what this crew was meant to be, the crew on Wednesday before I had to pull out last minute, as unfortunately I was feeling unwell. But, I mean, firstly, let me introduce the guy who stepped in last minute to fill in. Shad, how are you today, Shad? And how are you feeling ahead of this NXT show? Because, of course, you and Drizzy and Clark every single Tuesday night review NXT on Wrestling off the air on the YouTube channel. And, of course, you have a special for that coming up tonight following NXT No Mercy.
We here, bro. We here. Yes, NXT No Mercy, my favorite weekly television show. My favorite pay-per-view as a kid, and my favorite N64 video game, No Mercy. We're in the building tonight. I'm super stoked for the show. After the show, don't forget Wrestling Off Air. Me and Drizzy will be reviewing the pay-per-view tonight. But I'm ready to talk SmackDown as well, so let's get into it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one. And last but certainly not least, the newest member of the Wrestling Republic podcasting team, Josh Markowitz. How are you today, Josh?
Man, what's going on, man? I'm pumped to be here. This is the third broadcast, as you mentioned, but it's always been a good time here. We got SmackDown last night. We got a stacked NXT No Mercy card tonight. I'm ready to talk about all that and everything in between. I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely, and let's get straight into things. Let's talk about the bloodline. Let's talk about John Cena, and let's talk about LA Knight. Yeah! I probably shouldn't have started with that because we're now at risk of Yez just hijacking this entire segment.
Yeah.
But I mean, basically, the bloodline, they opened up the show. Jimmy Uso was in your city with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Jimmy's still being a bit of a hothead at the minute. You can tell Paul Heyman's not happy about it. He's not happy about how things are going.
Yeah.
Michael, oh, for flip's sake. Michael Cole on commentary revealed very quickly that John Cena was having travel issues, so he's going to appear on SmackDown later on tonight. Well, Jimmy Uso didn't want to take any more chances. He wanted to take out the rest of the WWE roster tonight.
Yeah.
So that nobody could team with John Cena at Fastlane.
Yeah.
However, Carl Anderson was the first one to come out.
Yeah.
And Carl got in the face of Jimmy Uso, and the two had a fairly quick match. Jimmy got the victory quite comfortably. And I mean, Carl Anderson, seriously, you consider every time he leaves WWE how he's treated as a big single star in New Japan, and then every time he comes back, he's just treated as like a tag team specialist who's a jobber in singles action. I mean, people forget this guy's been in the final of New Japan's G1 Climax, but at the same time, right? I mean, I've spoken to Carl about this in the past, right? A couple of years back when he got fired the first time. And he said about it, he was like, well, it's where the money is. I don't care. I just want to get paid.
Yeah.
So fair enough. I'm not going to go on a rant about his booking because he's just happy to be there and happy to be collecting his paycheck, doing what he loves, and fair enough to him. Clark. These Johns, you let me guess. Did you vote on Wrestling Republic's Republic Rumble on that poll between LA Knight and Kevin Owens? Let me guess. Did you vote LA Knight?
Yeah. I mean,
He is part of that 49% who the comments are going mad at. I'm fair enough as well, to be honest with you. I'm a fan of LA Knight, but come on, guys, compared to Kevin Owens, 49%.
well, yeah.
I almost beat him, but didn't. Owens advanced. But anyway, back to this. Throughout the night, the Usos not the Usos, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa just beat up the entire roster. We saw Ashante the Adonis, who of course, Top Dollar was released from the company last week. We weren't sure, how quickly we would see him back again, but he was on screen, got completely demolished by them. And then later on in the show, John Cena did arrive. He got over his travel issues. He found his way to the arena, and he came out. And the Usos, I keep saying the Usos, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa came out. They got in his face. They started beating him down. And then, go for it, Clark, LA Knight.
Yeah.
Made the save and signed a contract, meaning John Cena will be teaming up with LA Knight to face Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa at WWE Fastlane next Saturday night. Oh, wow. Talk about this turnaround LA Knight has had in WWE.
Yeah.
Just over a year ago, he was known as Max Dupree, and now he's tag teaming with John Cena on a premium live event. I mean, that is huge. That really, really is good on him. He's super over with the fans right now. And my question is, could this lead, because this is kind of where I'm getting this impression now, could this lead to maybe Roman Reigns versus Roman Reigns versus LA Knight at the next pay-per-view afterwards, which I believe is in Saudi Arabia? Could it lead to that, or maybe John Cena as the special guest referee? Clark, give me your thoughts.
Yeah. Why not? We've got LA Knight. He's on fire. He's looked as good as he's ever looked. I don't necessarily understand why we had to have AJ Styles be hospitalized to get to LA Knight being John Cena's tag team partner, but it makes perfect sense. You've got the real Hollywood star and you've got the mega star. I dig it. Miz, Cena now, the partnership on the babyface side. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm all over it. And if it leads to LA Knight Roman Reigns, even if he takes a loss, whether it's in Saudi Arabia or the United States of America, all I have to say is, yeah, I'm here for it. LA Knight is still that good. He's still that charismatic. Push the guy to the moon. If he's the one to pair with Cena, which very clearly last night he is, that contract is signed. What more could I ask for? I was begging for like Randy Orton. I thought we were going to get somebody not so great out of the bullpen, but we got the megastar, LA Knight, and that I am stoked to see. No matter what, I think this guy deserves it. He's earned it. He's put the work in. He's organically over, and that is hard to do in the WWE, to get over without plans for yourself. That is something we do not see often, and it's something we can't take away from, LA Knight.
Absolutely not. No, I do agree with what you said. I mean, of course, when LA Knight started to slightly get over, I brought up age concerns that I personally had, and I still stand by it. It's a very solid point, but it got to a point, right? And it got to this point about 3 months ago now. Money in the Bank in the UK was at that level then, where LA Knight was so over. It's one of those things where you can't ignore it. You've got to capitalize on it, because he's captivated the audience. They're invested into him, and you need to make money out of that. It's smart from a business standpoint, not just for the fans as well. But yeah, teaming up with John Cena at Fastlane. Shad, give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed everything that was kind of threaded throughout the entire show. First and foremost, I gotta give kudos to Jimmy Uso. I think a lot of people within the Twitter space and online have had a lot of negative things to say about the split up of the Usos, and more so towards Jimmy But I've really just loved this entire unhinged character of him trying to force himself to get back into the bloodline and playing this heel, and just the whole dynamic between him and Solo, where Solo is just, got the love for him and respects him, but you can tell he's just super annoyed by him too. And basically, it's a funny dynamic. It's the little brother basically telling big brother like I got to check you. He's little big brother in the sense. And then we can't not talk about the moment of the night after the match with Carl Anderson, Mia Yim slapping him to a different dimension. He's in a different
Yeah.
dimension at this point. He went straight to the ground. I thought that was hilarious, and I also thought him saying, "Well, I guess he's not going to be John Cena's partner," after they beat up Shanti Adonis. So, big shout outs to Jimmy Uso. In regards to the ending and with LA Knight, it's the right call. You bring John Cena in for this short run, and you need him to kind of build up a next young up and coming star. And LA Knight's kind of the guy who's got the hot hand. He's super over every time he's in the arena. They've booked him very strong ever since these last few months, going after the Miz feud. And this is just going to add him to a next order. I know everybody was crying out doomsday that he didn't win the Money in the Bank briefcase. This is why it's a wait and see situation. Good things can come for those who wait. And I think they got a good plan for him. I think the direction is going to be him and Roman Reigns after Fastlane. Them probably beating Jimmy and Solo and leading it to the Saudi match. And a year ago or 2 years ago, I said, man, they're kind of doomed. They don't got nobody viable to beat Roman. There's a couple guys on that roster now that you can definitely get the title off of Roman. I think WWE's done a great job on the babyface department, building a lot of strong, viable options to get the title off Roman. And who knows, man? I don't think he will beat Roman, but if he did, I don't think people will complain.
That would certainly be a real shock if LA Knight is the one to dethrone this historic reign of Roman Reigns. I mean, Josh, what do you think? Do you reckon that perhaps LA Knight could be that guy?
Yeah. Sorry, I had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, before I get into the megastar himself, I did want to say that I think the backstage segments last night with Jimmy and Solo were great. I think I think WWE is doing a great job displaying the strength of the bloodline without Roman. I did have a little bit of concern when Roman is taking a short break that maybe the bloodline momentum would maybe fall down without having Roman there, but WWE's done great. Those segments were great, where they were just taking out anyone that could be John's partner. But anyways, now onto the megastar himself, LA Knight. Yeah. I mean, when that music cued, the roof blew off. Just like everyone said, this is a massive opportunity for him. I mean, not only first off, he gets the rub from Cena, which he doesn't even need. He's organically over, just like Clark said. But second of all, this definitely helps that potential build with LA Knight versus Roman Reigns. When is that going to happen? Saudi Arabia, maybe. I don't know. I really hope it happens. And I do think, I do think LA Knight could do it. I think the pop for that would be absolutely massive. So it's definitely keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I think LA Knight is the perfect partner for Cena at Fastlane. I'm really glad WWE went this direction with the booking. And I mean, yeah, LA Knight's pop was just as big as Cena's. That can give you a real good idea, where Knight is at in his career. And also, to show Triple H that if it hasn't already, he is the real deal.
Absolutely. I could not agree more with you there, Josh. I absolutely could not. But I mean, as much as I love LA Knight and as much as I love the Yeah movement, right? I do not love the Yeah movement on this podcast. In fact, I am starting a petition to end the Yeah movement on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because every time any of us now on this podcast say the word yeah, and you don't realize how common of a word that is until you keep saying it.
Well, yeah.
Right? You just think, yeah, exactly. I just did it then, and I didn't even mean to do it. And then it starts the yes, it starts all this, and I've had enough of it. It's hijacking the podcast. I've had enough of it. I'm forming my own authority. And I'm ending this LA Night push. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not having this.
One thing I'll say about LA Knight is, the only criticism I think we hear of him is about him being too much of a throwback to like maybe the Attitude Era or the past.
Mm.
To me, what LA Knight is he's Converse shoes, right? And Converse come back around about every 20 years and they're super popular and everybody starts wearing them again, right? And that's what LA Knight is, because Converse do fit in most eras too, right?
Yeah.
You can wear them and be stylish. And that's what LA Knight is. I don't want to take away from him by devaluing his charisma, trying to pigeonhole him as an Attitude Era knockoff. That's not the case. He's Converse shoes. He's a flavor of ice cream that you only get once a month, but you go get in line to get a scoop when you do have it. That's who LA Knight is as a wrestler, and he's outstanding. And age or not, he's found whatever it is he's got, right? I mean, we say yeah, and it's not a what knockoff either. That's what a lot of people like to do. It's not many people have tried catchphrases, whether it be one word or two words or that are repeatable like that. Not to the level of the Yaz, not to the level of the whose game is it, not to the level that he's accomplished. And I think
True.
it's unfair too. We've pigeonholed him with age, and we've also pigeonholed him with he's from another era or whatever. Well, it's one of those things that's timeless. When you see someone that has that level of charisma and that level of ability to deliver and captivate an audience. And I think it's actually, in a weird way, unfair to LA Knight to compare him back to previous generations, because like I said, he's Converse shoes. He's that once a month flavor of special ice cream that you go get in line for, because
Fair enough.
You only get
I
it
think
so
that's
often.
a fair point. I think it was a very well comparison at the start, but no, it's a good point. It is. I mean, I think in many ways, you always take inspiration, from things, and every era does it. Every era takes inspiration from, the previous era about it as well. So I think the entire copycat argument, I think people are bringing that up less and less now as well, which I think is something good. Let's head to the comments, because we got a comment from Anthony Manzano. Hello to you, Anthony. Thank you for joining us today. But now let's move on, to talk about Austin Theory. Because last night there was the Grayson Waller effect with Bobby Lashley. And Grayson Waller tried to sell the idea of Bobby Lashley taking on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller together. What are they called? A-Town Down Under. Great tag team name. But Bobby Lashley was not a fan of it. He's still not a fan of Austin Theory after what went down a couple of years ago. Well, last year. It feels longer than that, actually. But yeah, he played that down pretty quickly, and he said that if the Street Profits, he's made a mistake with the Street Profits because they're not doing what it takes to, reach that next level. Bobby Lashley walked away, he left, and then we got Austin Theory versus Cameron Grimes in a fairly short match. It was ever so slightly longer than what we consider a squash match on Wrestling Republic's rating system, but it was basically just that. Austin Theory got the win over Cameron Grimes. Very short match. When Cameron Grimes got called up to the main roster, I made a big deal out of this guy. I said, this is somebody who's already, at a young age, reinvented himself multiple times and successfully reinvented himself multiple times. All he needs is a bit of TV time and he's going to get over. He's going to make things work. This guy's young. He's hungry. He's got so much potential. He's got an interesting look. This guy could be a star for WWE. You can go back. I literally said it. This isn't one of those situations now where, oh, he's saying this now. No, go back. Watch the podcast 6 months ago. I was saying this, right? 6 months later, he's doing absolutely nothing. And when he does do something, he's getting squashed by Austin Theory. Seriously, they have such a talent on their hands with Cameron Grimes, right? And a lot of the time, people say that about guys, and I'm like, well, no, there's a good reason why they're not pushing them. In this case, there's no good reason. The guy's young enough, he's hungry enough, he's got an interesting look, he's fantastic in the ring, and he can get stuff over when he's given a chance. I am not a fan of this. I was not a fan of this, and I think Cameron Grimes deserves a lot better. Clark, give me your take.
I'm 100% with you on Cameron Grimes deserves significantly better. It's silly to me. I didn't like any of this from top to bottom. I didn't like the Street Profits stuff. I didn't like Lashley looking at us. I don't want Lashley and Austin Theory to make eye contact ever again on television. I have no desire to see them wrestle ever. I don't care. Why? You must be joking. And please keep the baby oil out of this one if they're going to do it again for some reason. That was one of the silliest walk away main event segments in the history of Monday Night Raw. Please do not bust that baby oil back out. It's ridiculous. And for Theory, Mr. Wet Blanket, to squash Cameron Grimes, who actually has charisma and is awesome, I think this is a huge problem. You know, we've got a comment here, actually, Ben, from Anthony Manzano about LA Knight and the problem being that he came too late, right? I also think that sorry, I keep outclicking me there, but I think we also have an issue with overexposure. We've seen it with Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross comes in and wears gladiator gear and takes a bunch of losses and 50-50s. There's no such thing as the killer Kross. There's no such thing as the guy that is unbeatable and impossible to overcome. What happened to having a run? Thankfully for LA Knight, outside of taking the loss to Bray Wyatt in that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, he's been over and he hasn't taken any really, really significant losses outside of the one he probably shouldn't have to Theory about a month and a half ago, right? You got Austin Theory here beating kids with charisma, people with charisma, adults with charisma, and overexposure is an issue at times in WWE. As much as we complain about Roman being away, guess how much more exciting it is when he shows up, right? The Undertaker for years. The Undertaker wasn't wrestling 12-minute mid-card matches on the way up. Not ever. What happened to the classic having a run as a part of a character telling that story? And that's something that I think we've gotten away from and has hurt Cameron Grimes. Because when Cameron Grimes was down on NXT, every single time he had a new character to lean into, whether it be To the Moon, whether it be, you know, any of the stuff that he did down on NXT, it was a legitimate run under that character where it made sense. Now we're just seeing him as a hand. And that is not, I mean, Theory, who had a legitimate run, arguably, as a character with the cell phone gimmick, is now also just a hand. And we've got them booked against each other for what? For why? For what? For who? And it happens super fast. And just to give us Theory and Lashley again, I mean, Bobby Lashley should cut Theory in half with a spear every time that they see each other. Let's be honest with ourselves. That rivalry was one thing when it happened. Again, please, I'm begging you, no. Stop now. Do something right with Cameron Grimes and by Cameron Grimes, who's that good of a talent. Do right by Austin Theory for that matter. Put him in a better position than this because he looks like a joke too. And I'm just bugged by it. I don't understand the mid-card picture there at all. I don't understand burying the Street Profits. I don't understand burying Grimes. I don't get it.
Fair enough. I mean, I can't really disagree with, much of what you said there at all. But of course, moving on to something which was a lot better, Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. The two put on a great match. If I'm going to be a little picky about it, I thought towards the end they kind of got a little sloppy. I think you could actually see the tiredness from both men showing slightly, which really surprised me as Escobar actually specifically looked quite tired late into that match. But it was still a fantastic match. It didn't really harm it. But then after it, Rey Mysterio, of course, got the win. Rey Mysterio put his hand out. Escobar wasn't really sure what he was going to do. Was there going to be a heel turn? We'll never find out, as the Street Profits came and took them both out. They wanted to make a good impression and get back in Bobby Lashley's good books. And then Bobby Lashley came down, he was smiling, really, really happy, and we found out that the LWO will be taking on Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits at WWE Fastlane. They're finally advancing this storyline, they're finally making the Street Profits out to be heels. I'm for this, I thought this was done well. But Josh, what did you think of this match and segment?
Yeah, I'm someone who appreciates Lucha Libre wrestling a lot, and I feel like in WWE specifically, we don't often get to see two lucha libre wrestlers compete against each other in singles competition. So this was a match I was really looking forward to. And I'm going to agree with you. I think this match was extremely entertaining. I thought it was well paced. I will agree with you, though. They both look tired. You know, I sort of expect that of Ray. He's old and very well praising Ray. It's unbelievable that he's still able to put on the matches that he's putting on. Unbelievable. And the match was great. But I wanted to bring it back to my favorite part of the match. And also, I think a very important part of the match. Mysterio was dialing up the 619, and Escobar came out of nowhere and hit a picture-perfect super kick. And the crowd started to boo. And right when I was watching this match, I watched it last night and then I watched it again this morning. And, you know, I hope WWE saw this maybe the same way that I did. Maybe you guys saw it the same way. I mean, look, Escobar needs to turn heel. I mean, there was booing and, you know, they even had some camera shots of Zelina ringside, like looking scared or concerned for Ray. Like, you know, I know Ray had the win, but you mentioned that too. Like at the end with you know, Mysterio putting his hand out and Escobar sort of hesitant to shake it. I think that was an important angle as well. And, you know, I think it makes too much sense not to turn Escobar heel and win that United States Championship off of Ray. You know, he's talented enough. I also think him versus the LWO could be a nice program for Friday nights. But I feel like we got a small glimpse during this match of what Escobar can be as a heel in WWE. Now, now talking about the end of the match with the Street Profits, um, you know, perhaps at Fastlane after, if they lose, then Escobar could turn heel against Ray if the LWO lose that match. But anyways, I'm right with the Street Profits heel turn. I don't think it lasts long, to be honest. To me, I feel like the Profits were born to be like a face tag team. You know, they're great as a face. But then again, you know, they've been in WWE for like 4 years now. So maybe it is about time you shake things up, see how it goes for them with a heel turn, see what happens there. But I mean, overall, I don't think much will happen with this. I don't think the Profits will win much as a heel tag, and if they do, I don't see them winning the belts, and I don't think they're going to be anything more than a mid card tag team as heels, especially with Lashley.
Yeah. No, I mean, wow. I mean, I mean, that's certainly an interesting point, right? And I want to go back to what you said at the start as well about the Escobar heel turn, because that part I definitely do agree with. He needs to turn heel. And they need to do it soon because, like you said, the look on Zelina's face. Wow, oh, wow. She was so concerned during the match for both men. But if Santos was to just straight up turn heel on Rey Mysterio and beat him till he's just dead on the ground, I think Zelina would be in tears. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind her turning heel as well because she's a great heel manager, as we've seen throughout the years. But now let's move on and let's talk about the women's division because Charlotte Flair beat Bayley in. It was a fun match, decent match, not too long match, not a too short match, but a match which you would expect more from Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. You would, and the entire story of this was that Bayley's no longer on Charlotte Flair's level, and it kind of proved it. I mean, Bayley's now become a lackey in her own faction. It's a weird one. It really it is. I mean, Charlotte Flair won via spear as well, which is she's used it to win a few times lately, but that's not really her finisher. I mean, I feel like a Bayley turn on Iyo Sky is coming, and I feel like it is coming up fast. But after the match, Bayley set up a triple threat for Fastlane: Charlotte Flair versus Asuka versus the women's champion Iyo Sky. Shad, give me your take on this women's match.
The match itself was solid, but like you said, it wasn't like one of their best matches. And I, I go to two things that happened. Obviously, the beginning where Charlotte cuts the promo and kind of tells Bayley that what's going on with you, what's happened to your career. You know, you used to be, you're one of the four horsewomen, and what are you now? Like he said, she's a lackey to Iyo Sky, and I thought all of that was telling because it's the truth. Like they've took all momentum from the champion that Bayley was during the pandemic to where we are now. It's like night and day, man, and it's so sad because they've just completely took this damage control faction and this storyline between her and Io, and they've just kept it kicking the can, kicking the can, kicking the can, kicking the can. We haven't got any payoff. And I'm at a point where I'm just like, is it gonna happen or is it not gonna happen? I'm kind of losing interest of it in all facets because Io's a great wrestler. Io can be a great champion, booked well. Bayley is a great champion from the past, and Bayley is a main event women's wrestler. What are we doing? Like, there's not like a good like feud that's being set for them. That should be the feud that needs to be set for Io. That's a important feud that has a storyline and merit to it. This whole triple threat and side feuds with Asuka and Charlotte, they don't need to be in this initial feud for Io. We can get them all individual feuds with Io as the time goes on. And it's solely just dumb to me. Like there's nothing beneficial to any of the women's wrestlers in it. Will the match at Fastlane be good? Probably. It'll probably be great. Will Io and Bayley probably have a great match? Yeah, but like the storyline leading to it is garbage.
Absolutely. Bailey deserves more. She absolutely does. I'm hoping that they're gonna prove us all wrong, and it's gonna end up being some great story, a great Bailey redemption arc. But it's taken a couple of years of Bailey's career. I mean, it has made Iyo Sky, right? We can't say it hasn't made Iyo Sky. It has, but
did we need to make Iyo Sky the goddess of the sky, the former women's champion? Like,
that wouldn't have been enough. That wouldn't have been enough for her to be made on the main roster.
Do you think she's that much more over on the main roster than she was before?
It's a different audience though. To the old NXT.
It's not that different.
But the thing is this though, they like her, but there's just.
If this isn't punishment for Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné leaving the belts, it's a sign that the WWE creative team is incompetent. It's ridiculous. If this isn't like I think it's more incompetency than that. When the Click left to WCW, if this isn't a direct punishment like they did Triple H when Razor and Diesel went to WCW, then it makes no sense. Because Bayley's one of your top 5 most talented wrestlers, man or woman, on the roster every day she wakes up. Period. She can work both roles and has proven it over and over and over and over again. She did it in front of not a crowd too, and carried the women's division for over a year. It's the same way they've done Drew McIntyre. It's odd to me that we've taken these people that literally put the company on their backs during the pandemic and have not given them their flowers now that crowds are back. That is frustrating to me. On top of, it's just blatantly obvious. The minute Bayley came back after Sasha laid the belt down and Naomi laid the belt down and left, this is pure punishment because they haven't controlled any damage. She's never looked like the leader. She's never been booked in a place to show her charisma. There's no more Bayley hosting daily shows or whatever. We got Grayson Waller doing it, and Bayley's was better during the pandemic with no crowd. Bayley's was better by a mile. Bayley's 100 times better on the mic. And I think Grayson Waller's good. That's not a diss on Grayson Waller. I think he's very talented, but Bayley can carry you 25 minutes a night, whether it's wrestling, talking, backstage vignettes. It doesn't matter. And we've got her leading finger quotes, Damage Control and putting Iyo Sky over, who's already organically over in that she's the goddess of the sky, capable of doing things that others in the women's division are not, and well known from being called up from NXT. There's easy stories to tell.
No. Half the people who got called up from NXT at that time, their reactions on the main roster were just silence. Right? I mean, even Tegan Knox. Tegan Knox can do crazy things in the ring. And look at her, she's not remotely over.
And how many NXT women's titles did Tegan Knox carry? And also, how about was the cheer week in Nashville at the SummerSlam debut? The SummerSlam debut for Damage Control, was that reaction week?
No.
Or was it just for Bayley then? Or do they know Dakota Kai already and Iyo Sky? Because definitely the stock in that team has drastically lowered since that initial entrance.
That initial entrance was hype for Bayley returning back from injury. I will say that. A lot of that reaction was for her coming back from the ACL injury.
Once you've got a crowd hype, you can keep them hype by just feeding them more, even if they're not sure.
Let's call it 60% for Bayley, wouldn't you?
No, it's not. No. It was 90%. It was 90% for Bayley.
But the thing is this though, Iyo has been built into being popular though. Like you saw her reaction at Backlash.
I don't think that the Damage Control thing has made Iyo any bigger than she already would have been.
No, come on.
No.
I agree with you a lot on the Bayley stuff, right? I do. But
I'm
to
telling
say
you
that it
right
hasn't
now,
made Iyo Sky is just wrong. It's
Uh,
statistically wrong.
Iyo Sky
Look at her
has gotten
followers.
over on her bell-to-bell matches. It has nothing to do with any of her damage control storylines. Not one.
Yeah, but if she was a single star, would she even be getting TV time? Like, would she have given that opportunity if she wasn't
You
next to
think
Bayley?
they could have given her the same TV time and saved us the
I'll agree
grief.
with that. But
And then
they don't.
and then
You know they
yes,
don't do that.
I
They don't.
maybe I don't know. Are they going to do it for Jade?
Well, they will with her because they're paying her a lot of
Yeah.
money. But that's
Just
a
saying.
slightly different situation there. But no, I mean, this is a conversation for another day, certainly, and one which we need to get into. But now let's quickly move on to NXT No Mercy. Of course, that's tonight. We're gonna do some quick fire predictions. We're gonna go one by one, giving our predictions, running through the card, and I will kick things off. Firstly, let's talk about Blair Davenport versus Kalina Jordan. I am personally going to go Blair Davenport to win that one. Noam Dar versus Butch. This match, I think, is going to be fantastic. I'm very, very much excited for it, but I do think Noam Dar will retain, as I doubt Butch has taken the Heritage Cup back up to the main roster with him, but certainly I'm excited to see Butch alongside Tyler Bate once again. Then of course, Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin. This is becoming a real blood feud between these two guys now. And the fact that he doesn't have a stipulation to me, I think, actually kind of threw me off about it. But with this one, I am going for Braun Breaker getting the win. Then Dirty Dominic Mysterio will be taking on Trick Williams. And this one for the NXT North American Championship, I do think Dom will retain the championship. Then the family, Tony D'Angelo and Stax, will be taking on OTM versus the Creed brothers and versus Humberto and Angel Garza. This one I think is going to be banger, but I do think the family will retain when it comes down to it. And then the sumo matches then. Carmelo Hayes versus Dragunov. This one's going to steal the show, but I do think Hayes will retain. And then finally the main event, Becky Lynch, Tiffany Stratton. Sorry, Shad, it's still not Tiffany time. And I'm going with Becky to retain. Shad, I'm going to pass this to you first. What are your predictions for these 7 matches tonight?
All right, man. Well, you didn't have to take the shot at me at the end of that. But we'll get to that match at the end of my predictions, of course, because I got a little bit of a bet for y'all if it happens or not. But we'll get to that to the end. Kalani Jordan versus Blair Davenport. Salute to Kalani Jordan making it to the PLE. Young star in the making. I got Blair winning that match. The Heritage Cup match, Butch versus Noam Dar. I'm going with the metaphor. I'm going Noam Dar beating Butch, which is going to be an incredible match. We got Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin. I got Braun Breaker beating Baron Corbin. That match's build-up has been incredible as well, and I think that match is going to tear the roof off. The tag team match between the family, Creed brothers, Out the Mud, and Los Lotharios. I'm going to go with the family retaining. We got my match one of my second match I'm most excited for, Trick Williams versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I got Dom retaining. I think there is going to be something happening in that match that's going to lead to an extensive amount of feuds to this, pre-main event, the co-main event, which is Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov. I got Carmelo Hayes retaining. That one is a tough one. I've been going back and forth with that one, but I got Melo retaining. And then the main event, Extreme Rules. Give it up to the ladies, man. Big time Bex, the man Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy time. I'm not going to pick who I think is going to win. I'm going to keep my biasness alive. Tiffany Stratton is going to win that title back tonight. And if Tiffany Stratton does not win, on tonight's live stream, will buy this shirt that says I'm hot with Tiffany Stratton, and I will wear it every Tuesday. Not every Tuesday, but I'll wear it on Tuesdays when I get it. That's the bet. I will wear a shirt that says "I'm hot" that's in pink. If Tiffany Stratton loses, I'm not confident. It's Tiffy time.
Oh, you gotta love
Respect.
that. You absolutely do. But Josh, what about you? What are your predictions for these 7 matches?
Yeah, Davenport and Jordan, I have Davenport. Melo versus Dragunov, unbelievable match. Really looking forward to this, but he's gonna add another name to the rafters tonight. Carmelo Hayes retaining tonight, but gonna be an absolute banger. The 4-way tag match, I'm also gonna take the family to retain, although I wouldn't be surprised if Los Lotharios won, not gonna lie. But gonna be a banger of a match. We got Dominic versus Trick, gonna be a great match. I think Dominic's gonna win. I think there's going to be some interference, something along those lines. Dragon Lee, we'll see what happens there. Braun versus Corbin, I think we're going to take, I think we can go Braun here, definitely. Then we got Dar versus Butch. Call that my match of the night. Going to be an absolute banger of a match. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think Butch wins the NXT Heritage Cup. And then the main event, Lynch versus Stratton. I think Stratton wins gold. She walks off. Lynch kind of limping, gets up. Jade Cargill's music hits. She walks up down the ramp, confronts Becky Lynch face to face, and we build that angle from there.
Interesting. No, I definitely think it is possible we see Jade Cargill tonight. But last but certainly not least, Clark, give me your predictions for the 7 NXT No Mercy matches tonight.
I'll be quick. I don't know why everyone picked Blair Davenport. If you've listened to us the last few weeks on NXT Off the Air, we're all big Kalani Jordan fans. Shad, you really let me down on that one. I'm taking Kalani in the upset in the opener on 0 Hour, no doubt. Beyond that, I'm going Braun Breaker, unfortunately, against my guy Baron Corbin. That seems like a no doubter to me. I'm going to also stick with the family, Tony D and Stacks, retaining in the next one. As far as the Heritage Cup final, boy, am I excited for that one. This is going to be Pete Dunne. Not Butch and not Noam Dar. And there's not a third person in this match. It's Pete Dunne. He wins it. He's back. I'm ready for it. Break some fingers out there while you're hot. NXT North American Championship. Boy, is this one a shame to me because it is so telegraphed that they're just going to combine this North American title with Ray's stupid United States title down at WrestleMania and call it a career, and they're just going to plug up 2 mid-card divisions for 8 more months, and I'm sick of it, and I don't care anymore. And Trick Williams is too good for this, so as long as Trick looks good coming out of whatever the way he loses this one with shenanigans, I'm cool with it, and then we can see a bunch of purple and black for 8 more months, and then it'll be finally over. Please be done, and let's shave that mullet, Dom. Anyway, up next, we've got Melo Dragunov NXT Championship. I would love for Melo to retain, and that's who I'm going with. I think Melo's run's been awesome. He is him, and I'm in. I'm all in on it. I think this needs to be a classic, though. I think it needs to be another gem just to prove exactly how good Melo can be bell to bell going with a guy like Dragunov, who we know can go with anyone. And then last but certainly not least, is it time for the man? Is it time for Tiffy time? Is it time to see that B word? Jade Cargill? I don't want to see Jade Cargill. Not tonight. No. Main rostered me, Jade. Please make this about Beck and Tiffs. And I hate to be this guy, but I'm going to agree with Shad. It's Tiffy time. And I'll get the shirt too if she takes the loss. And we'll be matching. I'm in. I'll take the same bet. It's Tiffy time tonight. She guts it out in an Extreme Rules Classic. Weapons involved, the whole 9, and goes over clean. 1, 2, 3. Well, not exactly clean, but clean for an Extreme Rules match. 1, 2, 3. In the middle of that ring tonight and stands tall with the belt at the end of one of my all-time favorite pay-per-views, No Mercy, being brought back on the NXT brand. I love it. Come on, HBK. I hope you're listening right now. Go with those picks.
You made a great point there, and I do think that I really do think that every Tuesday night on Wrestling Off the Air, it's gonna end up being everybody wearing Tiffany Stratton shirts at this point because I think Becky's winning today. But I mean, I also hate to break it to you, Clark, but earlier in the week you said something very different, saying that you think that Jade and Becky makes perfect sense following
Have you
this
ever heard of
pay-per-view.
changing your mind?
I
Jeez
have, but that
Louise.
post is going up in 10 minutes.
Brand new
So
concept.
so there's no time to correct that, unfortunately, Clark. The public is gonna know your wrong opinion. But but
It's fine.
Clark
anybody who's actually
hypocrite
watching the
out here,
podcast,
man.
well,
I'm
yeah.
cool with the other one. Change my mind.
He's changed his mind again. He's flipped again.
I
But
had
no, I'm
time
only
to
joking.
ponder.
But thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you guys immediately, well, 15 minutes or whatever, following NXT No Mercy today, we will be, Shad and Drizzy will be live on this YouTube channel for Wrestling of the Air and WWE NXT No Mercy post show. It's going to be great. I'm certainly going to be checking it out. But thank you to Clark, thank you to Josh, and thank you to Shad for joining me here today. It's been a great show, guys, and we will see you guys tomorrow to talk NXT No Mercy. See you guys.